Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be working on the Spitfire again today, but we're going to do something a little bit different. That's going to be taking off the turbo kit that I have almost finished fabbing. We just got the hot side stuff left to do, turbo feed and drain. But what needs to be done next is take all of this off to do a few engine upgrades. So what I have, along with some of the fittings to finish the turbo kit, oil feed and drain fittings, all of that necessary plumbing stuff. I also have a few things that are going in the engine. The Brian Tooley Racing trunnion upgrade kit. Try to keep those valves happy and everything happy with the rockers and all that. Just doing a quick and simple trunnion upgrade. Captures the bearings better than the stock keepers, which it was a pressure fit, so they really weren't holding anything in there under high RPM. And I do plan on turning this not crazy high, maybe around 6,500, close to 7,000 at times, 6,800, something like that. Valley tray, just because I wanted to clean it up a little bit, but also doing a sloppy stage 2 cam. I don't really know the specs too well on these. I know they just kind of work. Have a decent idle quality, and they will, from what I understand, do what I need it to do. It's like a 260, 270 duration, something like that. Nothing crazy fancy, but it should do what I need it to do. Also have a set of pack springs that came with the kit, push rods, seals for the valve stems, crank or a damper seal, and the damper bolt with the whatever you call it, the sealing stuff on there, and gaskets, all that good stuff. A few things are still on the way, but I can go ahead and get started taking this thing apart and see about sliding that cam in. The goal pretty much here is to do a budget build within, reason. There are a few things that I'm going to spend some money on, like the rear end's going to be a little bit pricey. And I think eventually, after I set it up with the cam and all that, I'm going to try and do a drop-in rods and pistons deal with it. But go ahead and jump into the disassembly and see if we can get this cam slid in there, and then see what we got to do to get the springs on without removing the cylinder heads. things that was a want more than a need would be a new intake manifold. So I've got like my boost reference, inlet air temp, and map sensor all plugged in here on the plastic intake manifold, which works. Doesn't look the best, but it works, functions. I think they can hold a decent amount of boost pressure. But I went ahead and got a, it's not a high rise, but it's like a medium rise. This is straight off of eBay for like, I think it's $500. So it's a China special deal. I mean, it doesn't really do anything besides sit there. So I think it should be okay to use a lesser known or non-domestic made, whatever you want to call it. China made will be fine. The welds look fine. Everything looks like it's gonna function. So just going to put this on top of the engine, and then it'll make running the wiring through the center and stuff like that just a little bit more clean. Also, ports for map sensor, and I believe there are ports underneath, yes, underneath there for your different sensors and things like that. So it makes things a little bit easier. The other thing I need to do is replace the timing chain and gear, but I can't do that unless I take off the pump, and I can take the pump off, but I cannot reinstall it without dropping the oil pan, and dropping the oil pan is a little bit of a pain. So I don't know if I want to do it here or bring the whole car back to the shop, but I'm going to throw this intake on, go ahead and put on the cam retainer plate, torque those down to, I believe, 18 foot-pounds, I think is what it was, and then see about replacing the timing set. So I was able to get the timing chain replaced without removing the oil pan. It was not easy and slightly invasive. I had to take the retainer plate and spin it around, but you can't do that because there's this tab in the way. Well, I had to take my Dremel tool, cut the lip off of that tab, file it down, spin this over, and in the process it took out my pan gasket right here, so I'm going to have to just use a bead of silicone, which will be fine. It's not ideal, but it'll be fine. But I did this because I thought I needed to change the chain because it was loose, but it's just as loose as the old one. So it's like I didn't even have to do that. So you've got like, I don't know, a little bit of rotation right there, maybe a degree or so of rotation, which I don't really like. I'd like my timing to be dead on accurate, but if that's how it is, that's how it is. So, new timing chain. I've got the sloppy stage 2 cam in here. The intake is on here. I'm going to have to go and get some valve spring compressor. Well, it's going to be a valve spring compressor tool. Just put air into the spark plug holes and pull off the spring and retainers. And then, where is that? Weld another fitting onto the timing cover like that over here so I can have 2 turbo drains. I've got a damper on the way. I'm also changing from truck style water pump and pulley assembly to the Corvette style that sits really, it's the narrowest one. So I've got to figure out where I can mount the alternator that's not going to be in the way. I thought about mounting it here, but the problem with that is this tank is in the way, so I can remove that, but also this plate is in the way. So I might actually take and spin the alternator in reverse and mount it over here to the chassis, since the engine and everything is solid. It shouldn't have a problem. So a few more things to tidy up. I've got the, you can see under there, I've got the map sensor and my boost reference hooked up back there. The only thing I don't have is a spot for inlet air, so I'll have to figure out what to do with that. So I got the Brian Tooley trunnion kit. I've never done one before. I looked up a video online, looks pretty easy, so I hope it is as easy as it looks. A lot of times it's not, but we'll see. So pretty much all it was saying to do is to get a socket, and one is a receiver, kind of like you would do a universal joint. And then you take the rocker, sandwich it in a vise, and then just slide the trunnion and the bearing through. So, just gonna give it a whirl here. So if you read the directions for this, like I did, you'll notice that it comes with these little washers. That's actually to help aid in the installation of these. Makes it way easier. So pretty much all you have to do is take your little bearing and place it on the inside or outside, doesn't really matter, and just press one side in. Go ahead and do that, make sure it's nice and straight, and it'll press in pretty easily. Okay, so then you take your trunnion and you run it in the one side, push it through so it grabs those needles. Whoop. I can do it. Yeah. And then it'll press out that little plastic cap. Then you take your next bearing and you go ahead and line it up. Now here's what you do though, is you take the little washer they provide which perfectly grabs the outside race of that bearing, and then you can go ahead and press in the other side. And then to get it absolutely flat on both sides, you take your other washer and you place it on the other side, slide it in, if you have it lined up properly, it will flush up both sides equally so that you can put your snap rings in place